Hello everyone, welcome to the Economic Eye. In this video, we'll study aggregate variables and representative goods, an important concept in macroeconomics. This topic helps us understand how economists study the entire economy together instead of focusing on individual goods or market. Let us begin by first understanding what we mean by the term aggregate. The word aggregate means total or overall. In macroeconomics, we study the economy as a whole, not individual markets. Instead of looking at thousands of goods and services separately, economists combine them into aggregate variables. This approach makes it possible to analyze the economy in a simple and meaningful way. But why exactly do economists prefer this method? So, aggregate analysis help us understand the overall economic performance, economic-wide problems like inflation and unemployment, policy decisions taken by governments for the entire economy. Macroeconomic problems cannot be understood by studying one person or one market alone. Now that we know why aggregate analysis is important, let us look at the first major aggregate variable, that is, aggregate output. Aggregate output refers to the total production of all goods and services in an economy during a given period, usually which is a 1 year. It includes agriculture goods, industrial goods, and services. So, aggregate output represents the combined production of all sectors of the economy. To understand this better, let us look at an example. If food grain production increases and industrial production also rises, then the total output of the economy rises together. In real life, aggregate output is measured using GDP, which is gross domestic product. The key point here would be since different sectors tend to move together, aggregation becomes possible. Now that we have understood aggregate output, let us move to another important aggregate variable, which is the aggregate price level. Aggregate price level represents the average price level of all goods and services in the economy. In macroeconomics, we do not track the prices of individual items separately. Instead, we study the general price movements in the economy. Let us try and understand this with an example. If prices of food, clothing, transport, and education are all rising, then the overall price level is rising. This is measured using indices such as consumer price index or wholesale price index. The key idea here is macroeconomics focus on general price movement, not the prices of one product or services. Now let us study the third aggregate variable, which is the aggregate employment. Aggregate employment refers to the total number of people employed in the economy. It includes employment across agriculture, services, and industry. Thus, aggregate employment gives a picture of the employment at the economy wide level. Aggregate employment helps us assess the unemployment problem, the overall health of the economy. The key point here would be employment tends to rise or fall across the economy, not in isolation. Now that we have understood the aggregate output, price level, and employment, the next question is how do economists study all these together? This leads us to the concept of representative goods. A representative good is an imaginary or a hypothetical good. It is used to represent all goods and services in the economy. Its the output represents aggregate output. The price represents a general price level. Employment represents a total employment. This concept allows economists to simplify macroeconomic analysis. Now question arises, why do we use a representative good? So studying millions of goods separately is not practical. Therefore, economists use a representative goods to make analysis simple and more manageable. The key idea here would be one good represents the average behavior of all goods in the economy. To understand this more clearly, Let us take an example. Instead of studying rice, wheat, milk, car, phones, and services separately, economists assume them into one single good. If production of this representative good rises, it means the economy's output is rising. If its prices rises, it indicates a general inflation level. The importance is the representative good is only a tool for analysis and not a real product. Now let us understand why such simplification is justified. The economy is, as you know, is extremely complex with millions of buyers, sellers, goods and prices. However, in reality, output level tends to move together. Prices tend to rise or fall together. Employment moves together across sectors. As a result, focusing on aggregates provide clear understanding, easier analysis, and better policy insights. Using this approach, economists explain major economic problems like inflation and depression. Now let's understand what is inflation. So, inflation is a situation where the general price level rises continuously and does not refer to the price of one item increasing. If prices of food, fuel, education, and housing rise together, inflation exists. This is represented by a rise in the price of the representative goods. The key idea here is inflation is an economy wide phenomena. Let us understand depression at an aggregate level now. Depression is a situation where the aggregate output falls, employment declines sharply, or income level reduces. During the Great Depression, production fell, factories were closed, and workers lost jobs across sectors. This situation is represented by a fall in the output of the representative good. Again, the key point here would be depression affects the entire economy, not just one sector. However, this approach also has certain limitations. The representative goods approach ignores the sectorial differences. It hides inequalities which lies between sectors. It treats skilled and unskilled labor at the same par. Outlooks differences in price behavior. So we can conclude this simplification is useful but not perfect. So economists sometimes move beyond one representative goods. So the economy is divided into agriculture goods, industrial goods, and services. This is because different sectors use different technologies, have different prices, and respond differently to policies. Aggregation is flexible and can be adjusted when needed. Now, let us have a quick recap. To summarize, macroeconomics studies aggregate variables. Aggregate output, price level, and employment move together. Representative goods simplifies macroeconomic analysis. Inflation and depression are understood at the aggregate levels. Simplification is useful but has limitations. So, final takeaway or the final message from my side would be macroeconomics balances simplification and reality to understand the economy as a whole. In the next video, we'll study the sectorial approach in macroeconomics where the economy is divided into agriculture, industry, and services. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Economic Eye. Thank you.